Let's open with something real. The fear most men carry isn't about intimacy itself. It's about that specific gut-wrenching moment when they make a move and the energy in the room shifts cold. The pullback, the sudden distance, the look that kills everything in an instant. But here's something worth sitting with. There's actually a way to move toward intimacy with a woman that doesn't carry any of that weight. No desperation, no awkwardness, no wall coming up. It works, not through tricks or pressure, but through a genuine understanding of how women emotionally arrive at readiness and who they want to be ready with. That's what this is really about. Before we go deeper, here's something that very few people actually articulate clearly. Women aren't rejecting intimacy when they pull back. They're rejecting a feeling. When the emotional experience attached to a moment feels wrong or unsafe, the answer is no. When it feels natural and right, the answer arrives on its own. The entire approach you're about to understand is built around making it feel right. So let's lay the foundation. Most men who find themselves facing rejection in intimate moments are usually making one of a handful of the same mistakes. They ask too bluntly, they move too quickly, they carry nervous, anxious energy into the moment, or they try to jump to intimacy before any real emotional tension has had a chance to develop. Here's what's underneath all of that. Women don't process the decision around intimacy the way men tend to assume. It isn't logical, it's emotional. The moment she feels genuinely safe, truly understood, desired in a way that doesn't feel demanding, and emotionally in sync with someone, that's when the door opens naturally. So the goal isn't to ask the right question, it's to create the right conditions. There's something critical about female psychology that gets overlooked constantly, and understanding it shifts everything. Men tend to experience attraction quickly and visually. Something registers and the body responds almost immediately. For women, attraction works in layers. It accumulates, it builds through emotional context, through a sense of safety, through anticipation. This is why a woman can spend time with someone, feel nothing at first, and then weeks later find herself genuinely drawn to him. She wasn't being strategic. Her attraction simply needed time and the right emotional experiences to develop. Once you understand that her desire grows through layered emotional experience, you stop rushing. You stop pushing. You start building the conditions where her desire rises naturally on its own. The first and most important shift is this. Stop asking directly. Seriously, this one change alone can transform the dynamic entirely. Women don't respond well to direct proposals for intimacy. What they respond to is emotional invitation. And those two things are completely different. A direct question creates pressure. Pressure creates internal resistance, and resistance becomes rejection. But an emotional invitation, something subtle and genuine, removes the transactional quality from the whole exchange. She doesn't feel like something is being asked of her. She feels like something is unfolding naturally. And when a woman feels like the decision is genuinely hers, she almost never resists it. Think about the last time someone tried to aggressively sell you something. The moment you felt that pressure, even if you were already interested, what happened? You pulled back. Intimacy operates the same way. When a man asks directly, he turns the moment into a transaction. He forces her to consciously weigh the choice. And conscious deliberation is where doubt and hesitation live. But when the approach is an emotional invitation rather than a question, it speaks to her on a different level entirely. It creates a feeling, not a decision, and feelings don't get met with rejection, the way direct questions do. 3 internal switches have to be active before a woman moves toward intimacy. The first is safety. The second is trust. The third is anticipation. If even one of them is missing, she holds back. But here's the important part. You don't need to beg for any of these. You create them. Safety doesn't require years of history. It simply means she doesn't feel like she'll be judged, pressured, or made to regret the moment. You create it through emotional steadiness. When you're calm and grounded, not reactive, not anxious, she registers that and relaxes into it. Trust builds when what you say matches what you actually do. When you tell her you're not trying to rush anything and then genuinely don't rush anything. When you honor her limits without making her feel guilty for having them, that consistency becomes the ground she can stand on. Anticipation is where the chemistry actually lives. It's the buildup of tension, the electricity that makes intimacy feel meaningful. rather than mechanical. You build anticipation through restraint, through suggestion, through allowing space between what is and what could be. Most men put everything into being impressive. Funny, confident, engaging, all of that matters. But if they're not also creating safety, trust, and anticipation, none of that attraction converts into anything deeper. The second approach is something that sounds almost counterintuitive. Instead of leaning toward intimacy, you gently lean away, not coldly, not rudely, just in a way that communicates you're comfortable with connection, but not hungry for it. This does two things simultaneously. It dissolves pressure immediately, and it creates emotional space that she starts to move into on her own. Women feel genuinely safe with a man who isn't rushing things, not because he doesn't want them, but because he respects the natural movement of energy. When she stops sensing that you're trying to extract something, she begins moving toward you by her own volition. And at that point, rejection isn't even part of the equation because it's become her idea. Picture the scenario concretely. There's chemistry in the room. The conversation is alive. Most men at this moment would escalate, get physically closer, initiate more touch, try to kiss her, and often she pulls back slightly, not from disinterest, from the pressure of escalation. Now imagine the opposite. In that same charged moment, instead of leaning in, you ease back just slightly. You pause, you look away for a beat, you create a small pocket of space. And in the absence of that pressure, something shifts in her. She becomes aware of her own desire. She wonders why you pulled back without even fully realizing it. She starts closing the distance herself. She initiates the touch. She leans in. That's the entire mechanism. You haven't rejected her. You haven't played games. You've simply shown her that you're at ease with the natural rhythm of the moment, and that ease gives her the safety to pursue. The third element is about planting thoughts rather than making requests. You don't suggest intimacy directly. You offer her a feeling through language, and that feeling naturally leads her mind toward the idea, saying something like, "There's something really comfortable about the energy between us," or "You're surprisingly easy to be around," or "You have this kind of calm that makes everything feel easy." None of these ask for anything, none of them push, but each of them places something in her mind. Women respond to feelings, not instructions. When she's feeling something in your presence, intimacy becomes her curiosity rather than your agenda. And that distinction is everything. What's happening psychologically is that you're helping her become aware of feelings she was already experiencing but hadn't given language to yet. You're not introducing something foreign. You're articulating what she was already sensing. When you name it, she thinks, "Yes, that's exactly it." That creates alignment, and alignment is magnetic. There's also a well-documented psychological principle called priming. When specific words enter a conversation, those concepts become more accessible in the listener's mind. Words like connection, closeness, energy, natural, they begin shaping how she interprets the moment she's in. She isn't being manipulated, she's being guided into awareness of what already exists between you. And that awareness is what turns a good conversation into genuine intimacy. The fourth element may be the most important in the entire thing. You must allow her to feel safe in her feminine energy. For a woman, intimacy is tied not just to emotion in general, but to very specific feminine emotions: warmth, softness, trust, openness, vulnerability. She cannot access any of those if the man she's with is tense, anxious, overtly sexual in his energy, or aggressive. Your role is to hold masculine calm, not forceful, not sexually charged, not needy, just calm. When she senses that calm in you, something shifts. Her guard comes down. And when her guard is down, openness toward intimacy becomes natural rather than forced. Masculine calm is widely misunderstood. It isn't stoic silence or emotional disconnection. It's the quality of a man who's present, grounded in his own body, and unbothered by outcomes. The difference between a man who's constantly seeking approval, checking if everything's okay, trying to manage her reaction, and a man who's simply letting things unfold without anxiety. Women sense these energies acutely. Nervousness, desperation, the need for validation, all of it pushes her into her own analytical mode where she's thinking and protecting rather than feeling and opening. But genuine calm, the unhurried and grounded kind, draws out her softness. It invites her feminine energy forward, and desire lives there. The fifth technique is a reframe that changes the entire risk equation. Instead of asking for a yes and risking a no, you ask about a feeling. Asking, "Do you want to?" puts her in the position of accepting or rejecting you. Asking something like, "Does this feel too fast?" or "Do you feel comfortable here?" gives her emotional control of the moment. And when people feel in control, they feel safe. When she feels safe, she chooses intimacy herself, not because you asked, but because it feels right to her. That's the difference between rejection and genuine connection. The mechanics of why this works are worth understanding. When you ask whether she wants to take things further, her mind has to manage a tangle of social considerations. What will this say about her? What will he think? Is this too soon? But when you ask how she actually feels in the moment, she only has to answer one thing honestly. How do I feel right now? And if she tells you things feel a little fast, you haven't been rejected. You've received honest information. You can respond by telling her that's completely fine, that you're not trying to push anything, that you're genuinely happy just being there with her. Now she feels heard and respected and safe. Often within moments after that, she'll be the one moving things forward because you removed every drop of pressure. The sixth piece is about calibration. A woman doesn't decide on intimacy based on how much you want her. She decides based on how much she feels you want her while you remain completely composed. Too much desire reads as pressure and makes her retreat. Too little reads as indifference and makes her lose interest. Balanced desire, present but not consuming, is what creates genuine attraction. So when she leans in, when she laughs more easily, when she holds eye contact, when her body language softens, you simply reflect that energy back. Not more, not less, just mirrored. The subconscious signal this sends is that you're on the same frequency, and that alignment is one of the most powerful psychological forces in intimate connection. Mirroring is hardwired into us from the very beginning. When an infant smiles and the person holding them smiles back, the baby learns something fundamental. I am seen, I am understood, I am safe. The same mechanism runs through adult intimacy. When she shows you vulnerability or desire and you match it rather than overwhelm or dismiss it, she experiences that primal sense of being understood. Most men fail here by going too far in one direction. They either under-respond, leaving her feeling foolish for showing interest, or they over-respond, making her feel like she's opened something she can't control. The skill is in calibration. If she touches your arm, touch hers. If she holds eye contact, hold it. If she leans in and laughs, do the same. A dance develops. And within that dance, intimacy rises naturally without anyone ever having to formally ask for it. The final technique brings everything together. Instead of making yourself the one who wants something, you let the moment itself carry the weight. Women are moved by moments. Moments feel real. They feel unscripted and genuine rather than engineered. So instead of requesting intimacy, you simply name what's present. This feels really good. It's strange how natural this is. There's something really gentle about the energy right now. When you put words to the moment, you're not asking for anything. You're letting the moment extend an invitation. Women follow emotion, and emotion lives in the now. This eliminates the awkwardness, the pressure, the risk of rejection because nothing is being asked. Something is simply being recognized. The reason this works so deeply is that you've removed yourself as the one with an agenda. You're not wanting something from her. The moment itself is generating the desire. That's a subtle but profound psychological shift. When you say, "Do you want to?" you're the one with the want. When you say, "This feels really nice," the feeling becomes the focal point. And women are far more comfortable following a feeling than answering a request. Feelings feel true. Requests feel like transactions. By naming the moment, you're also creating something shared. It's not about what you want from her. It's about what you're both experiencing together. And that shared experience is where real intimacy actually begins. If something in this opened your eyes or made you see things from a new angle, pass it along to someone who might need to hear.